Hey, so it's been a little while, a little bit longer than I intended to take in this next video. Unfortunately, I got a bit sick. It was the holidays, but at least I'm better now. So let's catch up in regards to where we are in the memory game. Hey, so I'm recording this while I'm editing this current video because I realized when I was recording the main content, I'd previously recorded some gameplay and I didn't realize my mic was actually hot. So I managed to get myself like laughing and breathing into the mic and all this sort of stuff. So when I'm coming to edit, I'm finding that during my recording, I had the video playing in the background of the gameplay that I'd recorded without realizing, and it's picked up on some of those noises. I tried to take as much of it out as possible, but if you hear like some background noise or some random noises while you're listening to this video, you're not crazy. It's just some, sound that I accidentally dropped in there for, shits and giggles. But, I've taken out what I can. I'm just going to roll with it because, done is better than perfect. Sorry. If you don't know me, my name is Sam. I work in the games industry in a non-development role, but what I've decided to do is try my hand at developing my own games, and I'm taking you along in the journey to probably see a lot of pitfalls, and we'll see where we go and try and make some games. So what I've worked on first is a card flipping memory style game, but we're going to make it competitive. We're going to add a lot of features that like points, scores, power-ups, global leaderboard, all this sort of stuff to make it a very different memory style game. We'll see where we get to. So I'm going to catch you up on the different iterations that I've done to date, because I've kind of been working on this before I started doing videos. So I've made a few little different versions with a couple little tweaks here and there, moving towards the end goal of what I want this game to be. Let's go through them real quick and... yeah. So the very first version is just the absolute basic memory style game. We've got 4 suites of playing cards, and all you see is the backside, and you've got to flip each one over and try and match the matching suite together. There's nothing really special about it, nothing different. It is really easy because one card can match to 3 other cards. So the Queen of Hearts can match to Queen of Spades, Queen of Clubs, Queen of Diamonds, that kind of thing. So what you find really quickly is that it's really easy to make a match just by randomly clicking, because there's 3 out of 52 cards available for you to match, and just sort of randomly clicking, it doesn't take you very long to find your match, and you move on, and ultimately you end up clearing the board. That's it, and there's nothing special. Game over, done. Close the game and start all over again. Basic, boring. Moving on. Version 2, or iteration 2, if you will. Nothing much different from the first one, except now I've added a score and an attempts, or what you would call moves. It's kind of the basis behind the design of this game. Is players are given a very limited amount of moves. I've started with 10, and that's kind of where I developed the name of the game, Memory10. That's what I'm calling it. A player has 10 moves to make a match. If you don't make a match and you use up all those moves, it's game over. You're done. Restart. This gives a kind of pressure to players to make a match instead of just randomly clicking around until you find a match and not really paying attention. This requires you to have some attention, some memory in regards to what you're turning over to try and continue playing. Otherwise, it's game over. I also added in a score feature where if you make a match, you get 1 point. This leads to the whole leaderboard. We need some sort of scoring system. I'm potentially going to change that value later on, but either way, we need a way for you to make points, and that's going to be through matching cards. Now, that was pretty much the only change in regards to this. You'll notice it's smaller on the screen because the way I've created that little UI at the bottom, it doesn't suit very well for full screen at the moment. we'll fix that later. It's not meant to look pretty now. It's just meant to work now. So anyway, that's pretty much it. You clear the board, you get points. The only problem is once you've cleared this board, that's it. Game over, done. And the only problem with that is everyone's going to end up with the same high score eventually. We need a way where you can get more than 52 points, right? We'll work on that. In comes version 3, or iteration 3, whatever you want to call it. What pretty much comes on board with this version is continuous play. When you clear that board, it resets into a brand new board, it reshuffles all the cards and everything, and pretty much keep on going. Gameplay is now effectively unlimited. You play until you're bored of it or until you lose all your attempts and you get game over, and that's pretty much it. So now we have a function that allows players to effectively compete with a high score. There's no way for you to see that in game, but you know, at a basic level, players could share their high score with a screenshot or whatever. But now you have that ability to beat others so long as you have the patience to keep going. And that's pretty much it with iteration 3. I also added in a little change where the cards will randomly change color between 3 colors when you finish the board. This just gives a little bit of variety, because I noticed when you clear a board and it resets, when it's the same color each time, it almost gives the sense of like something's gone wrong and you're starting all over again. So it's just trying to signify the fact that it's a new board, you're still playing, keep going. But we're going to change the graphics altogether further down the line. In comes iteration 4. I've created a little like start game splash screen thing. It looks terrible. I'm not an artist. That's something we'll have to work on later or have to get help in later. Just trying to make it work, which it does. But also what I've done is I've created a points and score system. So with the score system, it obviously drives players to keep playing, try and get the highest score. That's the ultimate, one of the purposes of the game. We've got a limited amount of moves or attempts. That adds pressure to actually engage and focus on the game to make your matches, so you can keep resetting the attempts or keep making matches to get a higher score and continue and so forth. I've separated that into points and score to create a little more focus and demand of players in game. So while you're playing and you make successful matches, you get points. Those points will just, accrue as you make successful matches. And what will happen is if you clear the board, your points are converted to your score. If you build up points and you run out of attempts or you run out of your moves and it's game over, you lose all the points. At game over, you lose points, but you retain your score. So what that does is it generates a need in players to clear boards to save their score. And when that starts being added to, say, a global leaderboard, that's kind of like your save point. If 2 players are very close together, it's the person that's going to clear the board that wins. And that is that's what the mechanic's meant to do. Is your purpose is to clear a board to save your score. It's not just to make as many matches as you can through the continuous play and then you get like 2 points higher than the next person. No, you've got to actually clear the board to save those points to your score, so that can then eventually be submitted to the leaderboard or be your effective high score. If you lose all your attempts at the moment, if you've got a score, it comes up on a little game over screen to say what your final score was. But the purpose is eventually that will go into a leaderboard. So only your score counts. And the points just, you can just see how many points you've got on that current board, and then boom, clear the board, converts over to your score. There's going to be other mechanisms introduced later on that will allow you to convert your points over to your score without clearing the board, but they're going to be very limited use. Main purposes, clear the board, you're done. Okay, and iteration 5. We now have full screen support. I'm currently running this on 1440p. So yeah, it should work on any resolution. The UI is bad. I agree. We've moved some of the UI at the bottom around a little bit because I'm going to put some more elements in there. Again, I'm not a designer. I'm not a graphics person. This will need to be finessed up at some point later. Main change to this was graphics changes. So you'll notice the card backs themselves are now different, and there's a bunch of different designs that the board will cycle through with each board clear. If you recognize what that image is, put it down in the comments, of course. But I've also changed the values of the cards themselves. They are no longer the playing cards, which I never actually wanted to utilize. I'm currently using a free asset pack. I'll put a link down into the description in regards to it. It is meant to be a sort of farming 2D game, but I thought, hey, I'll use some of these elements. They work great for a match game, and I'll try that out. Might not necessarily stay, but we'll see how it goes anyway. In this change, it's actually made the game significantly harder. Previously, when we had the four sets of cards, and one card could match to 3 other cards, it was actually relatively easy to make a match. But now there is only one match to each card, and I don't know mathematically if it's the case, but it almost makes the game 4 times harder because you have just as many cards, but you have less possible matches. So you now need to pay a lot more attention in regards to what cards you're flipping over and where they're situated to try and make a match. And so now the 10 attempts is actually a lot more difficult to maintain if you're not paying attention. Whereas before it was quite easy to just randomly click and you'd end up clearing the board and boom, you're done. But now it's harder. I think it looks better than what it did. Unfortunately, for some reason, when you clear the board, it's not resetting. But that's a problem for working on. What I've also added is a board clear bonus. So you get points for making a successful match, and then you get a nice little bonus to your score when you clear the board. So your points move to the score for all your card matches, and then you get a little bonus as well. So there's even more incentive to clear a board. Ideas for what we're going to be working on next is we're going to be fixing this problem where the board doesn't reset, but also I'm looking at doing power-ups. Now, I haven't fully decided how we're going to implement them. I want to have, say, 3 buttons that will have different power-ups. One will be an instant board clear. One will be a convert whatever points you have to your score. There'll be like double points and whatever else we can think of. If you've got ideas for some sort of power-ups that work along with this style game, again, put them in the comments. We'll see what we can do. But I haven't decided yet whether they're just going to be one-time use and that's it. I kind of had the idea of on a board clear, there's a random chance for you to receive another power-up if you've used one. So if you can imagine 3 buttons, if you use a power-up, that button clears. But on a board clear, you have random chance for one of the various power-ups to repopulate it, and it could be any one of the style power-ups that there are. Alternatively, it could be you could achieve them randomly on any sort of card match. Percentage would have to be lower on that, obviously. But I haven't fully decided on that, but we'll try a few things. We'll try and get it to work in the first place. And then we'll go from there. That's pretty much where we're at. So decided to call it Memory10. We're going to keep that sort of 10 move limit going, and we'll see where it goes from there. I'm going to be doing more recording while I'm developing now, so these videos might change a little bit. This is just a catch up to show you where we are since I started to do this process. So yeah, anyway, if you got any ideas, let me know what you think. Throw them down in the comments. I'll be putting a link to the current iteration of the game available on itch in the comments as well, so feel free to download it, play around, let me know what you think. I'll be keeping it updated there for every new release, and catch you guys soon, hopefully. Bye-bye.